We actually were very intentional about that for our home when we did in Oakland. Like any kind of maintenance needs, like we
Mm-hmm.
had our heater fixed by African American man.
Mm-hmm.
We had some handiwork
Painting.
done, painting as well. I forgot about
Yeah.
painting. He was a bro.
Yeah. He was. Hello, family, and welcome back. I'm here, as always, with my husband, LeVar Harris.
And I'm here with my beautiful wife, Frian Swafford Harris.
And we're here to start the conversations in and around topics of finance that we feel we should all be having, with the hopes that you'll find the language you need here to continue the conversations in your own homes.
So let's talk money. So I have a fun topic for us this week. I read an article about circulating the black dollar. So I want to see if we could highlight 5 specific ways that we can circulate the black dollar within our own communities.
Okay.
All right. So pretty much the article kind of touched on how the black purchasing power right now is estimated around $1.2 trillion and is expected to get to 1.5 trillion by next year. They say Asians keep the dollar in their community 120 times longer than African Americans. Blacks love to spend money on beauty, grooming products, 19% higher than any other demographic, which I thought was interesting. Also, high-end department stores, which I feel like they just described you to a T. 100 of the rich people in America show more wealth than the entire black population.
Oh, wow. I think we should link that article if you still have it
for sure.
accessible. Yeah, we'll link it in the description because that's really interesting. And additionally, when you were speaking of like the Asian community keeping the dollar within their community much longer, the black community is said to only keep the dollar in our community. I said community like 20 times. Anyway, we only keep it in our community for 6 hours compared to white people keep it in their community for 17 days. The Jewish community keeps it in their community for 20 days. And the Asian community keeps the dollar within their community for 30 days. And what that means is that when, a black person has a dollar to spend, they're not spending it with another black person, whether it's like a business owner they could be patronizing, whether it's a contractor they could be hiring, or what have you. They are going outside of the black community to make their everyday purchases, right? Whether it's a necessity or it is a high-end gift or splurge. Yeah, we're not spending within our community, whereas it's clearly more likely on the other end within the Asian Jewish white community to spend with each other.
So it's clearly a problem.
Yeah.
And one thing that I thought was interesting is because I feel like African Americans control the culture in terms of like buying, spending, what's cool, etc. And all these companies are now trying to like market to us specifically because they know that we control the dollar to a certain extent. But in actuality, we really don't, which is not disheartening to a certain extent.
Well, just again, always like a historical context of why we weren't able to have more businesses, right? We were denied loans in a like very systematic, discriminatory way. So we didn't have the capital to be able to start these businesses. We were denied a home ownership ability just based off of like redlining and literal deeds saying that you couldn't sell your home to African American even after you purchased it. And so that's how a lot of capital and wealth is kept within a family as well. And so again, like if we don't have access to this capital, it's really hard to be owners. And so when we say things like, the black dollar is kept in our community for 6 hours, we don't say that like to disparage anyone and say like we should be, doing more. But because a lot of new black businesses are starting to pop up, and we are, given access to, these means while we can, we should be capitalizing off that. And we should be kind of like shifting the way we kind of purchase, right?
Be more intentional.
Yeah, like reframe our mindset because now there are a lot of black businesses and you really can buy black for anything.
100%.
Yeah, so that brings me to our, 5 tips, ways that you can start today investing back into your own community. And of course, we are, specifically talking about the black community, but if you're another person of color, obviously if you're in the Asian community, you know how to do that already. But these tips do apply, like if you're in the Hispanic community, Latinx community, right? The same things apply. So first, I want to talk about hiring people within our community, right? Whether you have a business or you have a home and you just have needs on a contract basis, now it's a lot easier to do because popular apps like Yelp have been designating businesses that are on their platform as Black owned. So if I want a handyman, if I want to look up a restaurant, really whatever, you can like Yelp any type of business,
For
I
sure.
can go to a directory that's Black owned. Not only is Yelp doing that, but there's a lot of independent shops that are doing the same thing with like a quick Google search looking for Black owned directories within X city. That will pull up a list of people around you who are offering services that are of the diaspora.
For sure. And we actually were very intentional about that for our home when we did in Oakland. Like any kind of maintenance need, like we
Mm-hmm.
had our heater fixed by African American man.
Mm-hmm.
We had some handiwork
Painting.
done, painting as well. I forgot about
Yeah.
painting. He was a bruh.
Yeah. He was.
But yeah, we were very intentional about that. And I actually
Yeah.
talked to the African American mechanic that fixed our heater, and he was just like so blown away when I kind of talked to him about just, like our background and why I decided to reach out to him specifically,
Mm-hmm.
because he said that there was times where, because I did not know he was Black until he actually arrived, because I just couldn't tell. But he said that he's intentional about that because he realized that when he took his image away, he was getting more calls, and then people,
Mm-hmm.
when he would arrive to their house,
Mm-hmm.
they would never call him back.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be more intentional as people of color, because that's clearly wrong.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to give each other, exactly, if we're not going to give each other the opportunity, then you can't assume somebody else will.
Yeah, because they
So
won't, and that's like
yeah,
a proven thing. So because other people are discriminatory against us, I think we have to go a step further, like we do in every aspect of life, right?
Yeah.
And be more intentional about, having each other's back, especially if we're doing good work.
definitely.
Right. Which brings us to the next point, right? If you get good service and you're able to either patron a Black business or to hire someone who's Black and who does work that you're appreciative of, right? Be appreciative in a tangible way, which is to scream about it, let others know, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Be vocal. Leave amazing reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Pass it on to peers, referrals. I think that's definitely key. And taking that step further, if you know someone that started a business and it's a friend of yours or a
Mm-hmm.
person of color, buy from them and be more intentional about just like advertising their business
Yeah.
across your chest to a certain extent.
Yeah, and paying full price.
Exactly.
No homie discount.
That's huge. So I actually have a own personal thing where I never negotiate with a Black-owned business.
Yeah,
like whatever
we
the price
don't.
they give, that's what I'm paying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some business where it's kind of like natural to that type of negotiation with like contracting type work.
Yeah.
But if it's a Black business and even Hispanic businesses, where actually we don't negotiate.
Any business of color, so
Yeah.
I understand the hurdles they have to go through.
Yeah,
So.
and they're not just, people kind of think that, oh, this service isn't, X, Y, and Z, but it's not just the service, it's the labor, it's the parts, it's them having to pay other people to do the work. Like, if they have people who work for them, you're contributing to their salary, their healthcare, etc. So you have to think broader. You can't just think like, oh, I don't think this service is worth X, but you're not just paying for that service when you hire someone.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think people forget that. And that's across all color lines.
For sure.
So the third point we want to make is to it kind of ties right in, which is to monitor your spending habits and be intentional about buying Black, shopping Black, promoting Black. Again, we just have such a high, figure of spending power. Like trillion is kind of like, you can't really appreciate what that even means. Like that's just, that number is crazy. Yeah. But
I think
because
Apple's
go ahead.
entire company worth is like $1 trillion at this point. Just to give you an idea, how many like iPhones and iPads
do you see in the wild?
in the entire world?
Yeah.
That's $1 trillion.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that again, because we're so used to things being accessible and just kind of like shopping online with like the big brand retailers, like the Targets, the Amazons, the what have yous, we don't really think twice when we need something of like, oh, can I get this from a Black vendor? And I think what makes that easier for me is, I'm someone who uses social media a lot. So I try and fill my feed with Black businesses so that when I think like, oh, I want to buy this candle or I need this like, home goods type item, right? Like I'm being inundated every day with businesses who supply that. And so I just think like, oh, let me go to that page. And then I just, link in bio and I just go ahead and purchase on my phone. And it's just as easy as if I were to open my app of Amazon. So I think that's one way to do it. And then like I mentioned before, get familiar with the directory in your city. Toggle the filter on Yelp, on Uber Eats for like that Black businesses. I think for us, it's like super easy, especially when we're in Oakland, to, patron our, Black owned restaurants. Like some of our favorite vegan, or yeah, you liked it too. Some of our favorite vegan restaurants are Black owned. I'm more vegan. He's not. So that's why I say that. But anyway,
I'm not vegan.
Yeah, but you eat vegan.
Yeah, you said more vegan. Like I'm not vegan.
Anyway. So yeah, just kind of like go out of your way initially, and then it'll just become like as easy as anything else that you choose to purchase.
Yeah, and that actually ties into our next point, which is starting more actual businesses.
Yeah.
A really key subset of starting more businesses is because you can be more intentional about hiring people of color as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if we're not giving each other opportunities, and you can't expect somebody else to do so. So,
Yeah.
of course, it becomes a lot easier to shop Black when there are a lot more Black businesses to shop
Mm-hmm.
from,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Yeah. You don't have to have perfect execution, just get it done. There's a saying, the enemy of progress is perfection, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying to like be sloppy about it, but I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves when we have an idea. And if it's not like perfect, if we don't have everyone's approval, we just kind of think like, oh, this isn't good enough, I'm not gonna put myself out there. You might not have all the capital. You might start selling your oils, your lotions, your what have you, out of your home. Like a real life example is my mother. She's a small business owner, and now she has a shop that has grown tremendously, or a spa, excuse me. She's a massage therapist. She's licensed esthetician as well, and she actually has staff who works for her at her spa, right? And it is like the #1 rated in the Temecula-Marietta area. And she started doing this massage out of our home, right? She advertised herself on Craigslist, actually, back when that was a thing. And I just remember in high school, I would like see these people like coming through our garage, like for massage. I'd be like, what are you doing? But that grew, and then she was able to work out of a physical therapist office, and she would be able to treat their clients, or their patients rather. And then from there, she saved up enough capital to get a loan and to invest into an actual building. And now she has a spa. It's beautiful. And so, yeah, like I said, it doesn't mean she like decided, okay, because I don't have this capital right now, I'm going to save for 5 years before I can open my, spa. Like, no, start with what you have, with the people around you, and then expand from there. So,
so if you're in the Inland Empire,
oh yeah,
definitely check out LaRue's Massage Body Works.
We'll link her website below as well, and her Yelp. She actually advertises 100% through Yelp, has like so many 5-star reviews. So yeah.
And I actually wanted to highlight one specific thing you said, where it doesn't have to be perfect, because people do really think that, and they don't realize that some of the greatest companies in the world just push out product and then make constant improvements. So every tech company that you can imagine, they put out a product and then it'll send you an update on your phone. Those updates are literally improvements of the product.
That is
so just
true.
get something out there and then tweak it.
Yeah.
And then,
And that's such a good point. Like, you get updates every single day. Okay, and the last thing we wanted to talk about was to try to utilize your largest purchases with people of color, with Black people, right?
Yeah, that's going to make the biggest, I guess, swing in the pendulum, essentially.
Yeah.
Biggest purchases are obviously going to be like cars, which most people have. Your house is going to be another big one.
Yeah.
We were very intentional about that. Our real estate agents are African American. The lender's African American.
Yeah.
The
The
buyer's African American. When we bought our cars, I went to an African American person. that was going to sell me the car.
Give them their commission.
Yeah, so it's not, again, it's more so about being intentional. I think intentionality is the biggest takeaway. For you.
Yeah, and I think also like to the point of us like knowing that our home buyer was going to be a Black woman. Like obviously that's not anywhere on the application, but in the Bay Area anyway, they send these like letters where they're just like, oh, I love your home, please pick me, like essentially, because it's such like a competitive market. And we could have gone with like someone else or tried to get a higher amount, right? Like whatever the target was, but it was good. It was a good offer, and I think we were more motivated to work with this person because she was Black. And I don't think that we should, especially amongst ourselves, have this stigma that like, oh, I'm not going to give this person a chance, or the white man could do it better, or what have you, because if they're they're learning, they're trying, and this is with like, I guess I'm getting more into someone maybe like of like a handyman service, right? Like there might be a white business that has like 100 5-star reviews, and maybe a Black business that's just starting and maybe they have 5 reviews, but they're also 5-star. Like give that person a chance. Like it's okay. Like maybe you had to get a figure for the house you want to sell, and the one person offered you exactly that, and then like the Black family was able to offer you within like $10,000 or something, right? Like just kind of think about like how much you need that money and how much you could make a significant impact in your community going forward by choosing to give it to like the Black buyer. Correct. So I don't know. It there's like pros and cons, I guess, because it's like money.
And $10,000 may sound like a lot of money, but at a certain price point, it doesn't.
It's not.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's really not.
We're talking about a car, $10,000 is.
Yeah, but for a home sale, right?
Yeah, home sale is a little different.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So anyway, yeah. So those were just some of the advice that we have and some of the ways we've been able to kind of be intentional about like shopping in the Black community,
Yep.
From like the small things like retail to like the big things like investments. So anyway, those are some of the ways we've been able to maximize our contribution and circulate the Black dollar.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to hear from you as well. So if you have any specific ways that you maybe circulate the Black dollar that we didn't mention, feel free to put it in the comment.
Yeah. And also go ahead and highlight some Black businesses. I did this on my Instagram page as well. If you follow me there, you should. You'll see the post and the caption. And there's like so many comments of Black businesses if you want to check any of them out. And yeah, like we said, for our YouTube family, go ahead and add some resources in the comments. Yeah, in addition to liking and subscribing. All right.
All right. Till next time, fam.
Okay, take care.